Even if we squash the beef, I ain't touching your hand. Nope. No, I will not. It's Common Filth Radio. Once again, we are back. And, yeah, I don't know when we'll be getting back to normal over here. It's a strange situation that's going on with my technology. They're saying that nothing's wrong with it, but there are many things wrong with it. So, as we're working out a fix, I'll be doing it like this. And I'm in a good mood, so I'm going to talk for you here. And I'm not going to take the time to stop and pause to give thoughtful responses and then click record again. I'm just going to go with gut feeling. So if it seems like I'm giving bad advice off the cuff, feel free to not listen to it, because I'm looking at my Ask FM questions here, and yeah, a lot of advice, which I don't know if I'll be able to answer it, but we'll see. And if you'll excuse me, I forgot to bring up my email. One moment, please. Thank you. But as I check my notes here, yeah, I'm not touching the hands of millennials. I refuse. Look what they value. Look, look where they get their opinions from. My doomed generation gets their opinions from English teachers and failed stand-up comedians. And I didn't write that down. I just have to remind myself briefly. It's beyond absurd that Jon Stewart was able to wield the amount of cultural influence he did, because he was not very funny. I just think he kind of carried himself like not seriously, and people were able to connect that with the shit they heard in the classroom. And you should always take seriously the stuff you hear in your classroom, because that's what life is really like out there. But in my absence, because when you get into a rhythm, you start thinking that what you say matters, and some part of the world hinges upon what you say, and you get away from it and you realize that is absolutely not the case. Nothing changes. Things will go on with you or without you. Things will go on if you protest. Things will go on if you stay silent. And things have been going on. A lot has been going on. I missed the Oregon school shooter thing. Another case of some crazy mixed race person with identity issues taking his rage out on the world, and everybody blaming it on everything except his upbringing. And I forgot to bring this tab up. It's all coming back to me now. It's from the Daily Mail. Okay, here we go. Exclusive. Ian Mercer, father of Oregon college shooter, was sued for sexually harassing a male coworker at his LA bagel shop and creating a hostile work environment. So there you go. This kid has the handicap of having a white dad and a black mother, so he doesn't know which side to choose. He doesn't know which race to side with. You have that issue coming up, and that's a common thing in mixed race kids. There are mixed race kids within my family. And you think they're exempt from having these issues? Absolutely not. They like, no, I'm this. No, I'm not. I'm not that. It's all very strange and schizophrenic. But anyway, let's read on here about the father of Oregon college shooter Chris Harper Mercer was once accused of sexual harassment against a fellow male coworker, court documents obtained exclusively by Daily Mail Online reveal. Very stable, very great household. We should totally experiment. We should freely experiment with how we raise children. Yeah, give this guy a homosexual dad and a black mom. A white homosexual dad and a black mom. That's great. That'll lead to some healthy kids that won't shoot up schools. Oh, wait. British-born Ian Mercer was sued for damages along with his employers, a restaurant group, by colleague Brett McDonald in 2008. McDonald claimed in court papers he was harassed, inappropriately touched, and embarrassed by the mass killer's 55-year-old father while working at Noah's New York Bagels in Thousand Oaks, California. These documents are coming to light a day after Mercer's 26-year-old son Chris murdered at least 9 people at Umpqua Community College in Roseburg, Oregon. The killer, who said he idolized the IRA and Nazis, walked into the college Thursday wearing body armor, carrying 3 handguns and a rifle before shooting students dead. Ian Mercer hides his face from reporters after learning his son shot at least 9 people dead on an Oregon college campus, as it's revealed he was sued for sexually harassing a coworker. Sexual harassment at the bagel shop. I don't know how I didn't laugh when I just said that. That is absurd. Witnesses said he had made his victims stand up at gunpoint and say if they were Christian before telling them, "Good, you'll see God in a second," and shooting them in the head. The shooter was then killed in a gunfight with police officers. Mercer, who lives in California, said he is shocked and devastated by the news. Oh, you're shocked. You're shocked that you're a dysfunctional piece of shit, and you raised a dysfunctional piece of shit. So shocking. I'm really shocked too. You see, I'm not lying to you people. When I say that things happen for a reason, your kids have a mom and a dad for a reason, and mom and dad together should raise the kid. We live in the age of human experimentation. We want human experimentation, but I don't know if I've said this before, maybe I have. People want the most what they need the least. People want the most what they need the least. You think this guy, he wanted to sexually harass a Noah's Bagels employee? Oh, he did. That's why he did it. Do you think that's what he needed? No, what this guy needed was a kick in the head. A kick in the teeth. A good ass kicking. That's what this fucking idiot needed. Anyway, and now Daily Mail Online has learned Mercer and his employer's New World Restaurant Group had the sexual harassment case brought against them by Brett McDonald, who is seeking damages in excess of $25,000. The lawsuit was eventually dismissed. Mercer was the general manager of Noah's New York Bagels when McDonald was made his assistant manager in November 2007. In court papers, Mercer was said to have run an establishment where the environment was sexually hostile. On repeated occasions, Mercer touched the plaintiff in an inappropriate manner, massaging his shoulders, placing his hands on the plaintiff's chest, shoulders, and waist, court documents state. Mercer was accused of having said to McDonald, "If you were a guy, I would kiss you," and on another saying, "If you were a girl, I would kiss you." The Oregon shooter's father was cited in the documents for making sexual comments about customers and staff. Okay then. Great. And then, what else? He was claimed to have told McDonald that he wanted to have sex with a customer and her hot daughter, adding, "Look at the ass on her." He's also accused in court documents of adding, "If you wouldn't stick your dick in her, you are either gay or not a man." Well, that's who you want to be taking advice from on how to be a man. A hypersexual freak who raises a mixed race kid full of euphoria, full of vibrancy. Referring to an employee, Mercer said to have lamented how she had the body of a goddess before she had 5 children, and that he wanted to have sex with her. It's also claimed that Mercer allowed his staff to produce bagels in the shape of male genitalia while making them and overseeing an environment where workers were insulted with these Spanish swear words. Spanish swear words what? There's like 2 periods. No, whatever. Sorry that my mouse wheel's noisy. I'll use the arrow keys instead. McDonald said he repeatedly asked for the sexual harassment to stop because it made him feel uncomfortable. He then claimed he was unjustly dismissed after he made those series of complaints to senior management, and he was accused of trying to get Mercer fired. The disgruntled assistant manager was in return hit with accusations that he had stolen $126 by wrongly clocking off from work, which he denied. The complaint and bid for damages were made at the Los Angeles Superior Court on August 27, 2008. I know, why am I using both? with a jury trial sought. But in May 2009, Judge Ernest Hirosiji, I don't know how to, is it G? I don't know, dismissed the case against Ian Mercer. He and the killer's mother, Laurel, ended their marriage in 2006. So, a product of divorce, a product of a dad who, I have another word for him, but I'm not going to say it. What else do I have? This was sent to me from who? Who sent this to me? 1 second. I want to give credit where credit is due, because I didn't know about this until it was sent to me. And I'm not going to bother pausing this portable recorder I have going because it's a pain in the ass. So, we're doing this real time. No pausing, no cleaning things up. This is raw, unfiltered, behind the scenes stuff that you get to hear me do. And I know it's very exciting. Okay, this was sent to me from Dead Hell on Earth. And this is from Fordham.edu. Michael Swift, Gay Revolutionary, from Gay Community News, February 15th through 21st, 1987. Reprinted from the Congressional Record with preface restored. In 1987, Michael Swift was asked to contribute an editorial piece to GCN, an important gay community magazine, although well to the left of most American gay and lesbian opinion. Bullshit, cough cough, bullshit. A decade later, this text, printed in the Congressional Record, is repeatedly cited, apparently verbatim, by the religious right as evidence of the gay agenda. The video Gay Rights, Special Rights, put out by Lou Sheldon's Traditional Values Coalition, cites it with ominous music and pictures of children. But when the religious right cites this text, they always omit, as does the Congressional Record, the vital first line, which sets the context for the piece. In other words, every other version of this found on the net is part of the radical right's great lie about gay people. For a discussion of the whole gay versus religious right phenomenon, see Chris Bull and John Gallagher, Perfect Enemies, the Religious Right, the Gay Movement, and the Politics of the 1990s. Well, thank you for that lie to start us off there, whoever reprinted this from the Congressional Record. This essay is an outre, madness, a tragic, cruel fantasy, an eruption of inner rage on how the oppressed desperately dream of being the oppressor. We shall sodomize your sons, emblems of your feeble masculinity, of your shallow dreams and vulgar lies. We shall seduce them in your schools, in your dormitories, in your gymnasiums, in your locker rooms, in your sports arenas, in your seminaries, in your youth groups, in your movie theater bathrooms, in your army bunkhouses, in your truck stops, in your all-male clubs, in your houses of Congress, wherever men are with men together. Your sons shall become our minions and do our bidding. They will be recast in our image. They will come to crave and adore us. Women, you cry for freedom. Wait, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there. This it's just a dream. It's just a fantasy. The first line, the most important first line that they left out. Yeah, because that makes it really different, doesn't it? Let me put this into context here. Let me put this into context. What if you were to find out somehow? What if I were of a mind to write erotic stories about rape fantasies? What if I were to write stories about rape fantasies? You wouldn't think too highly of me, would you? You wouldn't think very highly of me if I wrote stories glorifying rape. You would not think too kindly of me. So, this essay is an outre, madness, a tragic, cruel fantasy, an eruption of inner rage on how the oppressed desperately dream of being the oppressor. Oh, boo-hoo, I can't go to the bathhouse because it got closed down for being a petri dish. A petri dish for super diseases. Boo-hoo, I'm so oppressed. Unbelievable. It's like you think you're the only ones with hardship. These people have baby brains. Baby brains with pervert adult bodies. But we'll move on. And by the way, all this stuff in that first paragraph has come true. And killing the Buddha. Confessions of an ex-seminarian. I'll pull that up to give you just a little bit of proof of how that first paragraph, it's not a fantasy, it's a blueprint. Oh, now it's not loading. Somebody doesn't want me to load it. But it's on killingthebuddha.com, Confessions of an Ex-Seminarian, if I can't get it to load here. And sorry if I'm jumping around too much, but there's a lot of knowledge in my head here. There's a lot of memories of things that I read in the past that I can connect with this apparent piece of fiction. That's just a fantasy. Keep in mind, it's just a fantasy. And, yeah. We shall sodomize your sons, emblems of your feeble masculinity, blah, blah, blah. We shall seduce them in your schools, in your seminaries. That's the one we're looking for. That's the one we're looking for. But I'm going to continue reading this Michael Swift gay revolutionary thing. And then I'm going to read the one from killingthebuddha.com. Women, you cry for freedom. You say you are no longer satisfied with men. They make you unhappy. We, connoisseurs of the masculine face, the masculine physique, shall take your men from you then. We will amuse them. We will instruct them. We will embrace them when they weep. Women, you say you wish to live with each other instead of with men. Then go be with each other. We shall give your men pleasures they have never known because we are foremost men too, and only one man knows how to truly please another man. Only one man can understand the depth and feeling, the mind and body of another man. Again, the self-importance. How could this happen to me? Only I know these things. Or only we know these things. I think they're so fucking special. Okay, next. All laws banning homosexual activity will be revoked. Instead, legislation shall be passed which engenders love between men. All homosexuals must stand together as brothers. We must be united artistically, philosophically, socially, politically, and financially. We will triumph only when we present a common face to the vicious heterosexual enemy. If you dare to cry faggot, fairy, queer at us, we will stab you in your cowardly hearts and defile your dead, puny bodies. We shall write poems of the love between men. We shall stage plays in which man openly caresses man. We shall make films about the love between heroic men which will replace cheap, superficial, sentimental, insipid, juvenile, heterosexual infatuations presently dominating your cinema screens. Again, this is not fiction. This is prophecy. This is a blueprint. This is what is happening and has happened. We shall sculpt statues of beautiful young men, of bold athletes, which will be placed in your parks, your squares, your plazas. The museums of the world will be filled only with paintings of graceful naked lads. I'm just checking if I'm recording. Our writers and artists will make love between men fashionable and de rigueur. De rigueur. I don't know. I'm not too good with the French. And we will succeed because we are adept at setting styles. We will eliminate heterosexual liaisons through usage of the devices of wit and ridicule, devices which we are skilled in employing. We will unmask the powerful homosexuals who masquerade as heterosexuals. You will be shocked and frightened when you find that your presidents and their sons, your industrialists, your senators, your mayors, your generals, your athletes, your film stars, your television personalities, your civic leaders, your priests are not the safe, familiar bourgeoisie heterosexual figures you assume them to be. We are everywhere. We have infiltrated your ranks. Be careful when you speak of homosexuals because we are always among you. We may be sitting across the desk from you. We may be sleeping in the same bed with you. Well, they're wrong there because I'm not shocked when I hear any of that. You will be shocked and frightened. Well, you wish. There will be no compromises. We are not middle-class weaklings. Highly intelligent, we are the natural aristocrats of the human race, and steely-minded aristocrats never settle for less. Those who oppose us will be exiled. We shall raise vast private armies, as Mishima did, to defeat you. We shall conquer the world because warriors inspired by and banded together by homosexual love and honor are invincible, as were the ancient Greek soldiers. How are the Greeks doing nowadays? The family unit spawning ground of lies, betrayal, mediocrity, hypocrisy, and violence will be abolished. The family unit, which only dampens imagination and curbs free will, must be eliminated. Perfect boys will be conceived and grown in the genetic laboratory. They will be bonded together in communal setting, under the control and instruction of homosexual savants. All churches who condemn us will be closed. Our only gods are handsome young men. We adhere to a cult of beauty, moral, and aesthetic. All that is ugly and vulgar and banal will be annihilated. No, I think you're wrong. Since we are alienated from middle-class heterosexual conventions, we are free to live our lives according to the dictates of the pure imagination. For us, too much is not enough. You say that you don't want to have anything to do with middle-class mediocrity, yet you feel the pain of alienation from it. So which is it? Which is it? And I know that's not deep analysis, but it needs to be said. And it needs to be said because the common argument you hear why this is the way it is, why these people are the way they are, is because of homophobia. Okay, fine. But here they say that they don't want anything to do with being a middle-class weakling. They don't want anything to do with the family unit. They don't want anything to do with natural procreation. They want to create new people artificially. So every value that they oppose, they obviously would not feel the pain of being alienated from it. They would not feel alienated from that which they won't feel alienated from being opposed by that which they find invalid. So obviously they don't care about being decent, being sane. Writing this is what it is, a rape fantasy. It's completely unhinged. They don't care about what cishets think about them. At least this guy. Yet he's oppressed and alienated by middle-class heterosexual society. So that's why the whole, gays are like this because of homophobia. The radicalized political homosexuals are like this because of homophobia. It's bullshit. And here we see why. Here we see why that notion is bullshit. But that's a common millennial argument. That's what millennials think is valid. People act this way because they're not accepted. Like I said before, I know people that have not had the best relationships with their parents, yet they do not turn to this sort of behavior. They do not engage in crystal meth. They do not chase incurable fatal diseases. They don't do any of that stuff. They don't. People think acceptance is an end-all be-all thing. And it's not. Where did I leave off here? The exquisite society to emerge will be governed by an elite comprised of gay poets. One of the major requirements for a position of power in the new society of homoeroticism will be indulgence in the Greek passion. Any man contaminated with heterosexual lust will be automatically barred from a position of influence. All males who insist on remaining stupidly heterosexual will be tried in homosexual courts of justice and will become invisible men. Well, in the court of public opinion, that's certainly happening. We shall rewrite history filled and debased with your heterosexual lies and distortions. We shall portray the homosexuality of the great leaders and thinkers who have shaped the world. We will demonstrate that homosexuality and intelligence and imagination are inextricably linked, and that homosexuality is a requirement for true nobility, true beauty in a man. We shall be victorious because we are fueled with the ferocious bitterness of the oppressed who have been forced to play seemingly bit parts in your dumb heterosexual shows throughout the ages. We too are capable of firing guns and manning the barricades of the ultimate revolution. Tremble, hetero swine, when we appear before you without our masks. The oppression is coming from inside your brain, you fucking psycho. What happened to this guy? I wonder. But like I said, if you were to know somebody like me, and you found out that they had a rape fetish and then they wrote rape erotica, would you think highly of them? Would you think highly of them if what they wrote in their stories became true? But I guess millennials would, because they're just being who they are. So keep in mind that part about we shall seduce your sons in your schools, your dormitories, and your seminaries. Okay, this is from killingthebuddha.com. I had to access the archived version of it, but nothing has changed here because their normal website wouldn't load. Confessions of an Ex-Seminarian by Gregory Flannery. Porn, drugs, and the devil in a Cincinnati seminary, and that's nothing compared to the sins of the Archbishop. I used to be afraid the photos would one day surface pictures of me drunk, pissing on the floor as I stumbled down the hallway of the dormitory. In most colleges, that might not be unusual behavior for a freshman on his first drinking binge. But this was St. Gregory Seminary, a college for men striving to become priests. Problem is, I wasn't a man striving to become a priest. I wasn't a man at all. I was a boy on my 16th birthday. By law, the seminarians who supplied the pint bottles of fortified wine could have been arrested. The booze was horrid stuff called Red Rocket, Thunderbird, and Mad Dog, but the real offense consisted of adults getting a juvenile drunk. St. Gregory Seminary, then on Beachmont Avenue in Cincinnati, was so loose in September 1974 that no one got in trouble over the incident, even after I vomited on the theology professor in the first period of class the next day. I've seen crimes against children viced behind the walls of a powerful institution and the betrayal of ancient ideals. The information is timely and might help illuminate a complex crisis playing out in pews and archbishops' mansions across the country. But telling secrets always feels dirty, and the feeling doesn't diminish simply because some secrets deserve to be told. Before I go further, however, I must make a confession. Gay and lesbian activists have cause to distrust me. In 1993, I wrote an article outing a Roman Catholic priest, Reverend Michael Perenick, who had been secretly marrying gay and lesbian couples in Cincinnati. As a result of the coverage, Perenick was rebuked by his superiors, presumably ending this covert practice of compassion towards gay. Oh my God. See, this guy's an idiot. Oh, this is an act of compassion. Patting them on the head and saying, yes, play house. Yes, you could play house. That's showing them compassion. This guy's a moron. Unbelievable. Like I said, people want the most of what they need the least. Obedient Catholics have cause to distrust me. In 1994, Cincinnati Archbishop Daniel, I'm not even going to bother, Pilarczyk, I think that's how that's pronounced, wrote a private letter to a physician complaining I had written a series of articles denigrating the Catholic Church. Adherents of non-traditional religions also have cause to distrust me. In 1991, I wrote an article exposing the other life of the psychologist who screened candidates for the priesthood in Cincinnati. He was a worshipful master of the nearby Masonic Lodge. even though Catholicism forbids Masonic membership, and a practitioner of past life regression, something incompatible with church teaching. I either have so many conflicts of interest that I'm unqualified to write this story, or have such unfamiliarity with the issues that I must write it. I love the Catholic Church. It's been the vehicle of my salvation. No, it hasn't. But I also know it is one of the most oppressive and perverse institutions in the world. This story, therefore, won't be fair. It is, however, true. So this idiot, despite being in direct contact with the people he is defending, he still defends them. And just you wait till you hear the kind of horrors this guy was exposed to. Just goes to show you that he's probably a broken piece of shit himself, but again, we'll take his word for it. We'll take his accounts to heart. We'll consider them true. Someone would be arrested if this happened today. A group of men take a 16-year-old boy to a room to show him a hardcore film featuring a woman copulating with a German Shepherd dog. It happened in 1975 at St. Gregory. It was the first stag film I ever saw. Very appropriate. Same love. Hashtag same love. Hashtag love is love. It was in the seminary that I first saw marijuana. It was growing in the school's biology lab. It was in the seminary that I witnessed devil worship, granted only once, and performed as a joke, but with the calculated appearance of earnestness. In the 18 months as a college seminarian for the Archdiocese of Cincinnati, I saw too much debauchery and vice to be shocked by the revelations of clerical sexual abuse now rocking the Catholic Church. What is surprising, however, is the intransigence of the men responsible for doing something about the scandals. In statements meant to mollify the damage, my Archbishop, Daniel Pilarczyk of Cincinnati, continually makes clear his lack of understanding of both the nature and the urgency of the problem. Obviously, one case per century is too much, he said last month, but sexual abuse of children is not a rampant moral disease that afflicts a large number of clergy. After so many priests in so many places have hurt so many children, arguing percentages shows more than defensiveness. It displays a cold disrespect for the suffering people have endured. Time and time again, when trying to signal compassion and sorrow for the kids, Pilarczyk can't stop himself from defending his operation. His most recent offering, blah blah blah, is a letter in the Catholic Telegraph. Okay. Needless attacks have been launched against the church, he writes. Rash accusations have been made. Pilarczyk even argues the church's sex abuse scandal doesn't really have anything to do with the church at all. It is not the case that something is wrong with the structure, the basic law of the church, and that once that's fixed, everything will be all right, he writes. What is wrong is our human nature, infected with sinfulness and weakness and disability. One hesitates to question a bishop's analysis, especially of a man of Pilarczyk's elevated reputation for scholarship. But come on already. By now so many priests have been identified as child abusers that we risk being desensitized to the horror kids have been subjected to by Christ's representatives. The Reverend Earl Bierman, for example, pronounced wedding vows upon Richie, a 13-year-old boy, while sodomizing him in a motel. Bierman is now serving a 20-year prison term. No, he was just showing his compassion towards this child, you stupid fuck. Compassion. Look, all of this shit you've seen and heard, and you were still worthless. You were still a craven, worthless idiot. He said, I, Earl, take you, Richie, to be my lawful wedded wife, Richie says. He then treated me like his wife. He was always buying me clothes and taking me to restaurants. Oh, well, clearly he loved the kid, so that makes it valid. I was a student at Covington Latin School in 1970 through 1974, when Bierman was the school counselor. He also taught religion. His class featured a kind of madness so blatant that the faculty could have ignored it only by choice. Bierman told us that women sometimes don't achieve orgasm during intercourse. In such cases, masturbation was permissible with the blessing of the church. This was, in fact, a misrepresentation. Holy Mother Church doesn't condone masturbation. At no time, no how. Even so, Bierman's lecture on the art of pleasuring one's spouse might have been useful information for men closer to marriageable age, but we were 12 years old. He told us priests wore cassocks during confession in order to conceal their erections. This was back when priests still wore them, essentially black gowns, and when Catholics went to confession. He told us 70% of all boys have homosexual experiences. When it happens to you, don't be upset. When I was 15, Bierman took a friend and me to see The Exorcist. Although the movie was restricted to adults, he had no trouble getting us in. That night, we stayed at his rectory, and he took my friend into his room for private counseling and touching. One of Bierman's victims, a fellow priest named Reverend Will Dahl, committed suicide. Eventually, more than 50 men told the Kentucky State Police that Bierman had molested them as boys. Although allegations against him spanned a career of nearly 3 decades, none of the teachers, priests, and bishops who knew what he was doing ever informed police. What they did instead was this. They claimed God helped cover them up. I'm going to stop here. They never raped girls. Like that piece said, that fantasy piece said, we will seduce your boys in schools and seminaries. But it's just fantasy. It's just fantasy. And that's what millennials believe. That's what Gen Xers believe. That's what baby boomers believe. That's what anybody who's been born within the last 100 years believes. And nothing has changed. Your millennials still value sexual expression as a non-negotiable. Even though this is what it leads to, and has led to, and will lead to time and time again. Because there's no such thing as a moderate. Anything anybody does will always lead to an extreme. Very, very rarely are people capable of restraint. And that applies to bad ideas. Once people have one bad idea, they're going to start having all the bad ideas. Now, whether these bad ideas they have are just products of genetics, products of natural impulses, whatever. But look what millennials value. They think that single motherhood is some great thing, some great heroic thing. Like, yeah, Bernie Sanders said that single moms are heroic. They're heroines, and they deserve our highest praise. Despite all the evidence to the contrary that single motherhood is a societal cancer, we still think it's okay. We still think lesbian motherhood, which is just basically single motherhood times 2, is okay, despite the evidence to the contrary. We all know that lesbians are alarmingly prone to domestic violence. And I don't think there is a serious person out there saying that being exposed to domestic violence is good for children. But millennials think that's okay. Because they're just being who they are. Whereas millennials think that everything my doomed generation believes is so unbelievably poisonous and wrong. And how many of us have snapped out of it and said, wait a minute. Is this really what we want? Is this really what we need? Is this what... It's like... Society, civilization, the very structure of it, its very survival depends on us accepting and tolerating dysfunction. Really? Is that really the case? How many of us have snapped out of it? Compared to how many of us are still under the spell? Because I get it. You don't want to rock the boat, do you? You don't want to rock the boat and suddenly you find yourself without a circle of friends. You find yourself without a social calendar. You find yourself without a job. You find yourself without social acceptance. You find yourself without friendships again, because and that can be, I could talk about that on its own, but yeah, why would you want to have friends where the friendship is contingency on you having the right opinions? And by right opinions, I mean completely fucking wrong. But I'm not going to read this article anymore. If you want, I'll link to it below. I'll try to remember to link to it. Because I have another story here. Exclusive. Rosie O'Donnell's daughter, Chelsea, 18, breaks her silence to reveal how the star locks herself away in her arts and crafts house, blasting Madonna and smoking weed, and left the view because she feared a heart attack from Whoopi. Oh my god. But they're capable. Fucking hell. Chelsea O'Donnell has spoken for the first time about what it was like to grow up as Rosie's daughter and what really happened in the day she was reported missing by her frantic mother last August in an exclusive interview with Daily Mail Online. The 18-year-old reveals how Rosie's public persona is phony and has little to do with her life behind closed doors. She spoke out to disclose what she sees as O'Donnell's hypocrisy, that when she's out and about, her bubbly and engaging personality is belied by the way she is at home. Chelsea said, I find her not genuine a lot of the time. When we go out, she was a completely different person in public than at home, and I had a hard time with that. It's like two different people. She also spoke to deny the star's public claims made through O'Donnell's own social media accounts and apparently to the police. She had run away from home and instead said Rosie had kicked her out 2 weeks before her 18th birthday. O'Donnell also said at the time that Chelsea was mentally ill, a claim which was repeated by a police officer, but Chelsea tells Daily Mail Online, I wouldn't say I'm mentally ill, I would say lots of people struggle with what I have. Oh, a psycho lesbian mom? I don't think there are that many out there, but I'm sure many people have many negative experiences with that, with what you have. And she tells how, despite Rosie's public avowal of the importance of family life, she had been largely raised by nannies and is closer to two of them than to Rosie. Oh, what a great mom. What a great mom. And to say otherwise would be bigoted. And there's nothing worse than being a bigot. There's nothing worse than being called a bigot by some idiot, some 17-year-old idiot. Some 18, 19-year-old idiot who took a couple college classes and is really smart. The teen also revealed her heartache at being separated from her brothers and sisters when she was 13 to be sent to a boarding school 2,000 miles from home. Chelsea, 18, shared details of life inside Rosie's mansion in Nyack, New York, why the 53-year-old suddenly left the view last year and what led to the breakdown in her marriages to wives Kelly Carpenter and Michelle Rounds. In her interview, she reveals details of O'Donnell's life away from the public sphere, including how she likes to lock herself away in an arts and crafts house to paint, blast Madonna on the stereo, and smoke weed. Chelsea told Daily Mail on how many millennials out there can relate to that? I just like to be alone and smoke weed. All my troubles go away. Yeah, except for the one where you're raising dysfunction. You're creating dysfunction that will affect a countless number of people. Your kids will go out to the world and beget their own dysfunction. Unbelievable. And this is what people think is okay. Chelsea told Daily Mail Online, I find her not genuine a lot of the time. When we go out, she was a completely different person in public than at home. Excuse me. And I had a hard time with that. It's like two different people. I feel like she should be her real self, who she really is. She always has this public persona. She would put this big smile on her face and try to be funny. She would always go up to people and want to hold their babies in public. She had this happy, friendly side to her. Whereas when we were at home, even if it was on the same day, she would either just be in her room, not engaging with us, or watching documentaries. And if we didn't want to do what she wanted to do, it would cause a big issue. The teen revealed to Daily Mail Online what daily life is like in Rosie's house. Chelsea said our dinners were mostly ordering in pizza or Chinese food because nobody could really cook except for my other mom, Kelly. Rosie would eat takeout with us, and if there were cookies in the house, she'd eat them all. She's always coming into our rooms and asking if we had candy. She would drink beer when we were growing up, but after her heart attack, she couldn't. Now I think she drinks wine. Chelsea added, I mean, she smokes weed not around us, but the whole house smells like it. Rosie suffered a heart attack in August 2012, which led her to adopting a new diet, her daughter said. She had to be healthier since her heart attack. She has a lady who comes in to cook for her now, so she eats a little better. The chef makes her smaller portions of the stuff you're supposed to eat, like protein, vegetables, and carbs. She likes to sleep late. Dakota, Rosie's 2-year-old daughter, adopted with second wife, Michelle Rounds, sometimes sleeps in her room. So if she wakes up early, she'll come out to give her to one of us or a nanny and go back to bed. Her wife. No, that's some woman you're living with. Rosie wears tight spandex shorts and a t-shirt around house. She doesn't get dressed and never wears makeup unless someone comes to do it for her. Chelsea also spoke about her mom's hobbies. She has a whole house which is just for her arts and crafts. She bought the next door neighbor's house. She goes and spends all day down there, Tina added. Rosie does a lot of painting and doodles on these little money dolls, customizable blank figurines, which she puts her signature on and sells online. The kids were allowed inside the arts and crafts house. It has paint all over the floors and walls. It's kind of a mess, but it's still nice. Rosie has her desk and computer in there and little stools around tables. Okay. She has some speakers set up and she blasts Madonna. She's obsessed with her, but she also likes to play Eminem and Chris Brown. She would watch documentaries and draw all day long, in her bedroom or in her arts and crafts house. Rosie's solitary pursuits made it difficult when the children were younger, Chelsea said. Rosie would prefer to stay home and watch her shows and kind of do her thing. But on the weekends, my siblings and I would want to go out. My sister would want to go to the mall, or I'd want to get coffee. Rosie wouldn't want to drive us, but there was always someone there to help. There were other people around the house for different reasons, and they would take us places when she really wouldn't want to be doing it. Chelsea said she was pretty much raised by nannies, which led to her having a closer relationship with a couple of them than Rosie. She says she is strongly attached to two in particular, Geraldine and Tanya, who is now Rosie's personal assistant. Jer has been there since before I was born, Chelsea said. She's there for my older brother Parker. They, Geraldine and Tanya, have both been a huge part of my life and support. If Rosie was in the city, they would stay at the house. Jer lived 5 minutes away, so she was there whenever. This is fucking insane. I mean, I guess this is for all the idiots that follow this stuff, but, I mean, some of these details are just dumb. It's like, yeah, you were raised by nannies, got it. That's all I need to know. Quit trying to rationalize to yourself why this is okay. But look, I mean, I'm probably not being very fair. I'd probably try to find some positivity in my life if I had this kind of upbringing as well. And if those nannies were positive, then fine. Better than saying, oh, my mom raised us weird, but I'm fine. Injects heroin. No, I do this because I want to. It makes me feel good, not because there's a complete void in my life, in my socialization. I don't know how to transition into the question, so I'll just do it. Everydayfeminism.com. Decolonial love. I would love to hear your thoughts on this article and a deconstruction and analysis of it. Well, since we're here, why not? Why not? How long have we been recording? Almost an hour. Okay. 7 lies nice guys will tell you and why you shouldn't believe them. This is the perfect illustration of why microaggressions hurt. Every day, this just popped up. They're telling me to join today. Everyday Feminism, the everyday self-love course. Free yourself from toxic self-talk and build a daily practice of self-love by reading our fucking website. 3 ways to keep yourself safe when you're not ready to leave your abusive partner. 4 ways breast cancer awareness campaigns can be sexist and oppressive. And this is apparently what's hot right now. This is on the top of their webpage here. Oh my god. Breast cancer awareness campaigns can be sexist and oppressive. And here we go. Okay, say yes to decolonial love. 5 ways to resist oppression in your relationships. Here's an image of a white girl with her arm around a black guy. Okay, let me see where this is going. I was introduced to the idea of decolonial love by writer Junot Diaz. I'm not even going to bother to look up the pronunciation of your stupid name. During his keynote speech at the 2012 Facing Race Conference, as soon as he said the words, I felt something slide into place. The way it always does when someone else clearly articulates something we felt but haven't found words for ourselves. You may be wondering, isn't the age of colonialism over? The answer is yes and no. While the time of more developed, read militaristic countries invading the blank places on the map has come and gone, its cultural and economic equivalent is still very much alive in the form of neo-colonialism. You can even play a game based on it here. So what is this? Colonize my pussy? Correct historical injustices by pounding my pussy? Is that what decolonial love is? Since apparently, never mind. And though you have not personally colonized countries or groups of people, by living US, you inherit a colonial history and mindset. Anytime we don't consciously address our privilege, we're in the colonial mindset. From right-wing politicians to radical activists, its ignorance to privilege strikes everyone. In Diaz's words, we all have a blind spot shaped around our privilege shaped exactly like us. This brilliant thought would have been even better without the ableist use of blind, but if nothing else, the word choice is a perfect example of what he's talking about. I don't have to deconstruct this. This is just things I learned in women's studies class. Freshman women's studies class. Look how much I retained, teacher. Pat me on the head. That's the only deconstructing I need to do of this. Where's the point? But here's where it gets complicated. Most experience both privilege and oppression, and they do not cancel out like negatives in math. Even the most oppressed individuals can feed into the systems that disempower themselves and oppress others. Like I said, the oppression is coming from inside your mind. It's coming from inside your... Oh god. Popular this month, 5 radical ways people do non-monogamy that you need to know about. Do I really need to know? How white people subtly reinforce white supremacy when they laugh at black names. I don't know. I've known black people with, named like Bob or Kevin or, names. And these are black names because black people have them. So why would I laugh at these names? Now, if it's a name like Aquanetta, I would laugh at that. And I think that is a real name. Like, that is a name that somebody has. I don't think I made that up. Reinforce white supremacy when they laugh at black names. Supremacy kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? If you have to convince somebody is supreme, it probably isn't that supreme. Actions speak louder than words, after all, right? I'm getting tired. Okay, during his speech, Diaz introduced the concept of decolonial love with an apocalyptic proclamation. We're never going to get anywhere as long as our economies of attraction continue to resemble more or less the economies of attraction of white supremacy. In other words, if we cannot change the thinking around who and how we love as a society, we'll stay stuck in the ideology of colonialism. So that's what you're saying. You want black guys to colonize your pussy. Whoever wrote this? Annie Liu. Oh. Maybe she's like an Asian girl who feels bad about sleeping with all those white guys in college to piss off her parents. Uh, I sampled men, and I found that the best men. Okay. For fuck's sake. And pardon the train noise. It's gonna be hard to edit out the noise in this. Holy shit. And I haven't even gotten to the rest of the questions yet. This is what you have to do. You have to ridicule these things. You can't engage it logically. I mean, well, we can engage it. We can engage it reasonably if we're dealing with people who are like us, of our mindset. It's good, but if you're dealing with your enemy, don't try to convince them. Don't try to convince them with in ways that you would try to convince people that you actually care about. Your friends, your allies. Making our love decolonial is a necessary step to completely decolonial self. Because if we don't let go of our privileges and closely examine how the forces of oppression play out in our love lives, we are powering the existing injustices of the world. And the existing forces of oppression for decolonial lovers are to fight are numerous: patriarchy, heterosexism, skinny worship, classism, ableism, and what Diaz aptly calls pigmentation politics. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of what decolonial love looks like, I want to be clear about what it isn't. Some people think it means reserving our love and respect only for people of color or queer folks, especially queer folks of color. That's not the case, as only loving any group of people can fall into exotification or fetishization. The concept of love as decolonial is not opposed to loving someone deemed desirable by society. In other words, an individual is able-bodied, conventionally attractive, wealthy, financially, and socially, and or comes from a first-world country. What the fuck are you on about? Oh my god, I'm right. So what are some of the ways to cultivate decolonial love? Engage your biggest sex organ, the brain. The first step to addressing the colonial mindset is awareness. Awareness is key to retraining our reflexes and stopping habits in their tracks. When I first came to the US, I had a crush on every blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy in my class. In my way of thinking, those were the characteristics of a good person. You know, I wish I wasn't right. I really wish I wasn't right. Clearly, I had been exposed to some white supremacy in my early years in China. But when I realized what was at work that magnetized me and many others to whiteness, I was no longer so helplessly attracted to those traits. You know, you had no conditioning prior to that. You just looked at somebody and thought they were aesthetically pleasing. But no, it's society's fault that's what got your gears going. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed boys. I have a crush on every boy. I'm sorry if this is going slow. This is tedious, but goddamn. Oh. Okay. While questioning what we take for granted can be hard work, it is made exponentially easier if we have practice. So try critically engaging some aspect of society on a daily basis. Here's a hint: the daily articles at Everyday Feminism are a great kickstart to this kind of critical engagement. Oh boy. Ask yourself if you're attracted to someone for who they are. What the fuck does that even mean? I'm waiting for somebody to tell me what that is. Someone who someone is. You know, people can change in very subtle ways. Are they no longer who they are? I mean, it doesn't mean anything. Everyone is who they are. What they do is who they are. If they have an impulse to behave in a certain way, well, you know what? That's what it is. If they choose to deny their impulses, that's who they are. It's not like we exist outside of our bodies somehow. It's like this fixed, never-changing thing. Like that's really the case? Is that who you want people to be? You want people to be fixed and unchanging? You want people to wallow in their flaws or work on suppressing them or fixing them? You want people to accept their flaws and actually treat them as anything but? That's what we want as a culture? Apparently. In the media, Asian or Asian American or Pacific Islander men are systematically emasculized and desexualized, while Asian or AAPI women are fetishized and objectified. Due to this presentation, an individual who likes Asian women may think of that as a preference, when in reality it's a learned form of prejudice that's based on fetishizing an entire group of people. Oh my god. The same can be said if you rule out an entire race as unattractive or unsuitable. In both cases, it is a stereotype that is deciding, not you. Well, what if you're deciding to stereotype within yourself? These people think like stereotypes are like a monster under the bed. It's got eyes and teeth and drools green slobber. This is the same people. These people think that cartoons are real. And these people that think abstract ideas have embodiments. Like the stereotype is dad saying you can't go out with your friends past curfew. I'm done with this. Number 3, practice sexual fulfillment as an exchange between equal partners. Oh my god, fuck off. Learn about your potential partner's culture or identity. And find that it is very incompatible with yours. Try to love what has been deemed different, other, and unlovable by society. I think we should learn how to love HIV. Yeah, that's what we should learn how to love. Because it's other and different and undesirable. Have you listened to the song "Open Your Eyes" by Staind? I find that I can relate this song to a lot of the cultural rot that is around these days, while it's not specifically about it. It talks about people being lost in their own little worlds, unable to see the truth. Thank you for your time. I haven't, but I'll check that out. And thank you for the message. I'm a formerly unpopular male who has become somewhat successful with women as of late. But as I know, the short-lived relationships I've had are toxic. Yet I've become too distrustful of women and have a hard time passing up opportunities. So long-term seems unaccomplishable. How to fix this? Well, you have to fix yourself. You have to fix what it is about you that's attracting these toxic women. And I don't know what that is. And maybe by saying that you know what it is. But just have a little bit of introspection. Don't be afraid of your flaws. That's really all I can say. What do you make of almost every young person these days wanting to be a YouTuber/vlogger? Does this show how narcissistic society has become, or more to do with accessibility? Anyone can have a camera and a YouTube channel. I think that YouTube requires a level of talent that most people don't have. And most people try it, but they don't make more than a few videos. They just go back to Snapchat or whatever the fuck it is. But maybe in your circle of friends, that's what people want to become, because it's a very, very low barrier to entry. You're right. Anyone can have a camera and a YouTube channel. But I think that people, after a certain amount of time of just floundering in obscurity, wallowing in obscurity, they'll get sick of it. And they'll go to somewhere where you can get popular with not so much talent. So, but no doubt that society is becoming self-obsessed. I heard somebody say once that everybody carries themselves as if they're in a reality television show starring themselves. And this is enabled by social media, but the impulse to want to be your own star or whatever, I think has existed for a while, because even if you go back to old GeoCities pages, most of them are just about them, the creators. It's the people who create these GeoCity pages. All these pages, they're mostly about themselves. And it was more humble back then, less, oh, look how great my life is. There was less of that, but the impulse has been there for quite a while. Well, people want to feel special and what's the word? People want to feel special and they don't want to feel disposable. They don't want to feel disposable. They want to feel like they mean something to somebody. And back in the day, you'd do that by having a wife, taking care of her, taking care of your kids, or, having a husband, taking care of him, taking care of your kids, having a clear division of labor. You take care of this, he takes care of that. You take care of his needs, he takes care of yours, that kind of thing. That's how people would feel special to one another. That's how they would feel important. And that served society at large. But now look what people do. People are able to get this feeling of being special, of being not disposable by posting pictures of themselves and getting likes. And I think that's very destructive. That leads to a very dishonest life. What prevents you from killing yourself after seeing all those Vines and Tumblr posts? I don't know. Though I will say that God probably has something to do with that. I don't know. The less I think about it, the better off I am. There's this fucking stupid clickbait going around of a mother giving her 14-year-old daughter hormones. What is your take on this? Again, people want the most what they need the least. And this ties into what I just said about people wanting to be the star of their own reality show. They're doing this to get coverage on clickbait websites. They're doing this to get coverage on BuzzFeed, on Vox, on the Daily Dot, whatever. Feeding into the delusions that your children have. I mean, okay, great. In the short term, you get pats on the head. Yay, good job. Then what? Then you have a freak of nature who will probably end up killing itself because of what kind of damage you are doing to it. Like, these people kill themselves for a reason because they're so filled with regret and there's no undo button for what they've done to themselves. And what they've done to themselves was so completely avoidable. That's my take on it. And that's why we will never win. And this is not defeatist, because this is not a battle we chose to fight. This is not a battle that was being fought during our... It was being fought before we were even born. The battle was already lost. This idea that people's impulses are good. This idea that everything's good, just don't say anything. Mind your own business, blah, blah, blah. If you mind your own business, other people's business will start minding you. You have to remain vigilant. And I don't like it when people say, saying this sort of stuff is defeatist, because, again, this is not a battle that we started. This is not a battle that we lost. We're living in the consequences of what was fought in previous generations. We had our chance to unfuck ourselves, but we didn't. And this is what you get. You have people who think that kids can raise themselves. You're just the facilitator of it. You as a parent just, you write the check for their retarded ideas. And that's what parents are basically now. Kids raise themselves with or without parents. Because these last few generations have been so ill-equipped to raise children, to be family people. And this is what you get. This is what you get. Hey CF, I was wondering your stance on compromise within relationships. You've said that it should be the man making the decisions and taking lead in relationships. Can a relationship with compromise work just as well as one with all-man leadership? Well, look, it depends on what you're compromising on. And honestly, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you compromising? I mean, if you're you have to have non-negotiables. You have to define a perimeter saying no, this is not acceptable. And if and this is weird to say, but if you have to get to that point, like saying no, you can't go out and fuck other guys on the weekend. I'm not your Monday through Friday boyfriend. You've already lost. Your relationship is done if you have to define that perimeter. If you have to put that perimeter into words, it's done. Goodbye, walk away. So if that's the compromise, then fuck that. There can be no compromising. So find out what's really important and say, nope, no compromise. I'm not compromising on this. Because look, I understand you can't fight every battle. But if you prove yourself to be a competent leader, somebody's not going to challenge you for your leadership. People are not going to challenge you if you are a good leader, consistently. Have you seen the page Gay Dad and Son on Facebook? It has around 13,000 likes. What is with this incestuous phenomenon? What appeals people to do this? I don't know. I know it exists though. I mean, go look at a couple of the episodes of Tumbleristas I did. I don't know why people do this. All I know is who does it. And who does it is very obvious. Stormcloaks are the Empire. Enclave are the Brotherhood of Steel. Caesar's Legion or the NCR. No opinion. My girlfriend and I have been in a monogamous relationship for almost a year now, and I was wondering if it is immoral for us to engage in safe sex with condoms. Are we violating the sanctity of this act? Is it unreasonable to use sex as a means of bonding in a monogamous relationship? No, it's not unreasonable, but look, almost a year is not a long time. And soon you're going to find out things about your girlfriend that you did not know before. It always happens. Something always happens. Some side of her personality will come out when you realize like, oh shit, oh fuck, what the fuck did I just do? Now, I hope this doesn't happen for you. I hope it doesn't lead to this extreme. But it is a distinct possibility. So, I mean, there's a reason why. There's a reason why in the Bible it says no sex before marriage. There's a reason why. Because you're going to find out something about your woman that's going to cause some turbulence. Whether it's extreme or not extreme. Whether it's manageable or catastrophic. You're going to find something out. The institution of marriage provides an incentive. Because within marriage you have kids. Those kids keep you busy. Those kids keep you distracted from your personal flaws. That will eventually unravel the relationship. Unless you die first. But that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. What do you think of people who enable obesity? As someone who has seen the negative life-ruining effects that come with it, this has all angered me. I remember one of the first patients to die on me was a man with diabetes brought on by obesity. After that, I started eating right and staying fit. Well, if by people who enable obesity you're talking about fat, the fat positive people, yeah, they're contemptible human beings. And there's never been a point in my life where I've been obese, but there was a point in my life where I was overweight, and I mean, I didn't feel much different back then. There was just some excess of baby fat, I guess. I don't know. I was like 17, kind of doughy, much less doughy than I am now, thankfully. But yeah, it's not aesthetically pleasing. I look at old pictures of myself, I'm like, God damn, I'm ugly. I'm fat and ugly. Even though compared to obese people, I was svelte. Quite svelte. But I'm gonna edit all that out. But yeah, what leads to obesity? Overeating. Extreme overeating. Now, the other day I was in a part of town and I had to be there for a number of hours. And there's an Indian buffet there, so I'm like, oh, fuck it, why not? So I ate, and I got my money's worth. And I didn't feel too good afterwards. Not because of food poisoning or anything, but because I ate too much. And I don't do that very often. I don't do that often at all. Now imagine obese people. They do that every day. They did that every day, which led to their obesity. I just don't understand how people can deal with that kind of discomfort constantly, daily. And maybe people have some very sad things going on within themselves that lead them to be obese. But I don't know. There's a lot of dysfunction in society and no solutions for it. And obesity, what leads to obesity is certainly a dysfunction, certainly one that needs to be addressed. What did I say earlier? People want the most what they need the least. And that's the fat positive people. No, you don't need acceptance. You need to become healthier. You need to lose weight or else you are going to die. That's what they need. That's love. Telling people what they need. Helping them with what they need. That is love. Giving them what they want. That is hatred. All right. I was wondering. Okay, wait. Oh, never mind. Okay. Hey CF, I live in a biracial Christian home. I'm not sure where my family stands politically, although they seem liberal, as my mother and sister are feminists. Not radfem, but they do believe in the wage gap and been in a gay pride parade. I'm 17 in a week and will be graduating soon. I was wondering what I can do at this point. You're 17, so there's not a whole lot you can do. However, you can start engaging in some sort of manual labor, looking for jobs that, it's not, not entirely skilled labor, but something that pays decent, and some manual labor does. Or find somebody to teach you how to weld or something. Research trade schools, learn a skill. This is a common thing that I tell everyone. Learn a skill. Nothing in the humanities is going to teach you a skill. And this is for when you're an adult. Because right now you're only 17. And unfortunately, the only thing you can do right now is find patience. Find patience. And in the meantime, start looking at something that you'd like to do with yourself. If you would like to escape your family's reach. And where your family stands politically, it's pretty obvious where they stand. I think you know the answer, you just don't want to. You don't want to put a name to it. How come you hate leftism so much if the Soviet Union was 100% less degenerate than the USA during its existence? Well, what I talk about on this show is not... what I talk about on this show is social liberalism, social leftism, being socially permissive. That's what I talk about. I don't talk about economies. I don't really give a fuck because I think that finances are probably the least important thing. They're the least important thing when it comes to being a social creature, which is what humans are. Okay, you take care of your immediate needs, food, shelter, water, got it. That helped Elliot Rodger, didn't it? I talked about that on something I recorded but haven't released yet, which I will. I thought it was pretty good. So yeah. I hate social liberalism. So, there we go. I don't have much of a question, but more of a statement. I know this might sound arrogant, but I'm hoping this might restore some hope to you. I'm a 14-year-old white South African male born in 2000, and I completely agree with your ideologies. I love and am interested in my heritage. Well, don't burn yourself out on it so much that you go in the other direction. So that is all I will say. But I'm glad to hear it. I'll make this short as possible. I was driving on the highway and decided to listen to some radio show. I prefer white noise over music. I stumbled one and just about to talk about this odd news. Chelsea Attenley, a post-op man to woman trans, regrets being a woman and wants to be a man again. Convinced by a circle of friends by getting that operation just because he likes to wear a dress, he saved up to 10,000 euros for a full-body operation if the penis was cut out. It took him 10 years to save, and 7 years after the operation, he now regrets it. In other words, he said, makeup is too expensive and also very exhausting having to wear it besides walking on high heels. And maybe it's a nitpicking excuse, but this is his only reason to be back being a man, which I feel bad since his body made a drastic change. It will be impossible to have a full man body again. After the radio hosts finished reading this short news, they quickly jumped to a claim that the real reason has to be society not treating him as a real woman, and that was the cause of him regretting having the operation. I quickly changed the station. This kind of denial from people is what pisses me off nowadays. He made clear his reasons, but people around are trying to blame society regardless of selfish motives of him wanting to change back into being a man. I should find it funny when their agenda is backfiring, but I cannot help getting upset because of how they keep blaming anyone else for actions they did not get involved. I had to switch and just stick to some music channel for the rest of my trip. Yeah, like I said, people say that, oh, it's homophobia, it's transphobia, it's this and that, but obviously these people aren't measuring themselves by the metric that the rest of us measure ourselves by. And sex change regret is a very common thing. There's a website, and I'll give you the URL. I believe it's sexchangeregret.com. Sexchangeregret.com. And these are people who I have some sympathy for, because they are repentant. They did make a mistake. And the reason why I have sympathy is because they serve a purpose. They serve a purpose and the purpose is to tell people that this is a mistake, this is a bad thing. It is a life-ruining, life-altering in a negative way thing. And that is why repentance is important. Because if people are repentant for their actions, you know where they stand. They have a use. They have a purpose. They can do some good in the world. But I think that sex change regret is more common, more than people would like to think. Like I came across this article back in 2010. Let me try to remember it. A very peculiar engagement. Sorry for the smack there. A very peculiar engagement. And this was from 2010. And this was like one of my first, the first things I read that had some insight regarding this trans thing. Charles had a sex change, then hated being Samantha, so he became a man again. Now he's getting married. So is his fiancée balmy, brave, or just in love? When millionaire property developer Charles Kane steps out with his new fiancée, people tend to either stare or discreetly do a double take. Maybe because Victoria Ems is a striking redhead, and at 28 to Charles 50 is young enough to be his daughter. But they both suspect it is because they look, to use their own words, eccentric or odd. In Victoria's eyes, Charles is all man, but others may disagree. Born Sam Hashimi, the businessman and divorced father of two, had a sex change operation in 1987 to turn him into a glamorous interior designer, Samantha Kane. He spent £100,000 on cosmetic operations and tooth veneers to create the ultimate male fantasy, and was so convincing as a woman he had no trouble attracting men, and was briefly engaged to a wealthy landowner. Then in 2004, after 7 years of living as a woman, he decided he made a horrible mistake. The result, he believes now, of a breakdown following the acrimonious end of his 12-year marriage and estrangement from his children. Initially thrilled by his transformation, life as a woman quickly paled despite a jet-set lifestyle in Monaco. He hated the way the female hormones made him moody and emotional. Shopping bored him and sex was a disappointment. No matter how feminine he looked, he felt he was merely playing a role. Oh, but it's society's fault that he found all these things unfulfilling and artificial. See, this guy I won't speak ill of. Because he is already speaking ill of what he's done. He's saying, I made a mistake. Bad. Bad of me. Bad. So 5 years ago, Charles spent a further £25,000 on 3 operations to turn him back into a male after being referred by the gender clinic at London's Charing Cross Hospital. The gender clinic. Jesus fucking Christ. You know, I read this 5 years ago. This is a story from 2010, December 7, 2010. And I thought, God damn, what kind of moron would do this? But then I read closer, and this stuff exists. A gender clinic. A gender clinic. I didn't think anything of that back then. Because I don't remember it. Or yeah, I just didn't think of any. I didn't think of it. His breast implants were removed and male genitalia reconstructed from skin grafts. The trouble was he wasn't the man he had been before. When I first met Charles 2 years ago, he cut a rather sad figure around his £2.6 million West London property. Though dressed in a suit, he looked neither man nor woman, and vestiges of his beautiful alter ego Samantha remained. His attempts at dating women, he told me, had met with outright rejection and humiliation, and he feared he would never find anyone brave enough to love him. This time I returned to find him smiling next to his fiancée Victoria, a single mother to her son Albert, 2.5. They met at an art gallery in her hometown of Malvern, Worcestershire, in June 2009, and last month she accepted his proposal of marriage. Truth be told, they do look rather odd together. She looks even younger than her years, while Charles' dyed blonde hair is reminiscent of the style he sported as Samantha Kane. Though he's wearing a beautifully cut suit, he has it teamed with a pair of dusky pink suede moccasins. I don't know if I've never even heard of those. If this bothers Victoria, she doesn't let it show. Instead, she proudly shows me her diamond engagement ring and insists Charles is a far better boyfriend for having once been a woman. Because unlike other men, she says, he truly understands a woman's needs. Okay, this is just getting ridiculous. Let's see. Yeah, this guy was engaged to... This guy was... He had a... Oh, man. He just had a breakdown. He had a breakdown. His heart was broken, and he thought, I'm going to become a woman. That'll fix it. And he's saying, I was wrong. I'm trying to find the part, the relevant part. It's just like, I'm seeing all this stuff about, our relationship, he's so great, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Okay. Okay, here I found it. These days, in a nod to his experience as Samantha, Charles prefers to pursue a more creative life than his former career as a businessman. He has written his first novel, Once Upon a Time in Baghdad, based on the true story of his childhood in Iraq. It has completed a filmmaking course. He is currently seeking funding for a documentary called The Sex Change Delusion. I feel very philosophical rather than bitter about what happened to me, he says. Based on my own experiences, I believe sex change operations should not be allowed, and certainly not on the National Health Service. People who think they are a woman trapped in a male body are, in my opinion, completely deluded. I certainly was. I needed counseling, not a sex change operation. So, there you go. And the idea that society is to blame for people's feelings of insecurity about the decisions they make, completely fucking bullshit. ACF, I'm a 16-year-old from Belgium. Belgium is one of the most LGBT countries in the world. Oh, I already answered that one. Alright, well, I think I have overstayed my welcome here, and thank you for the stammering. Thank you for tolerating the the marathon that I've done here. And how long have I been recording for? Oh, hour and a half. This is a pretty long episode. Pretty good. What I will do, I will read emails on I will record one shortly after I've done this, so I'll record another episode with just the email questions, plus anything else that comes up in this short period of time. But yeah, hopefully we'll be back to normal soon enough. But until then, thank you for listening. Be good to each other. Take care of yourselves. Have a good one.